I don't think it's worth parents who has children and they go home high. That's just as reprehensible. So at that point, I don't think it matters, to be honest.
No, a 5-minute consultation booth. Should we move on to envelope number 3?
Promoted a negative image of African Americans. Crass, criminal, sexually incontinent, and driven by the trashiest, grasping materialism. Nepal Daliwal in The Guardian.
Sexually incontinent?
Yeah, what does that mean? Interesting. Do I have that?
I've come across this, I think, yes.
The African-American critic Stanley Crouch regarded gangster rap as minstrelly that owed its success to degrading the black population before a mostly white audience. Is that true? I don't think the music was made for a mostly white audience. Do stand up narrowly about your experience, but I could talk about Dave from a council estate, but hopefully posh Ollie, 50 years old, will be clapping in the back by the time I'm 10 years in, the job done.
Yeah, but as black people, we live in a very racist paradigm, and we always have to interrogate what people buy of ours and what people don't buy. So if you're a white audience and you buy gangster rap, above conscious rap, why is that? Are you going to buy rap that tells you the world's really bad and white people need to change? Are you going to buy rap music that says, I can't even say what it says, but you know, you're going to buy rap music that presents the image of black people that suits you very nicely. So it's a real conflict, I think, when you're successful as a black person in a white society, because you might be selling back an image of yourself that perpetuates stereotypes that aren't untrue. But at the end of the day, like, you know, black people have the right to be insecure, we've got the right to be misogynistic, we've got the right to be awful, but what about the other stuff? Why isn't that selling? You know, and then do we stop doing that? Do we stop making our money? So that, you know, what that person said in that quote isn't necessarily correct. He's not perpetuating something, he is something that white people are buying. And we have to think about, well, why aren't they buying other stuff? I'm not trying to be like cringy joining and talking about, but I am so guilty of that with some of the stuff I talk about. Like, I mean, I've only got like a tiny little slice of the cultural identity pie, Essex working class, but I will trade any funny stereotype to get a laugh, rather than the more complex picture of Essex, where some people are quite educated and actually this isn't true about, you know, because I'm selling back to my middle class audience this image of my dad with his Range Rover.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's also there's a minstrelly quality, if you like, to what I'm doing. You know what I mean? That's what I
can't get away from it, and that's why it's so ridiculous. That's why racism is so ridiculous, because it's inbuilt in for us as artists. We have to become what people think we are, but we can be other things too. But we can't be those things. You know, I've had it in my creative career. You know, I wanted to do a show, and I had 4 episodes of the show, and one of the episodes was on being mixed race, and they were like, oh, just make it about that. I was like, no, that's not, I don't want to do that, I want to talk about Brexit too. But they were like, no, we just want to talk about that. Other people talk about Brexit.
All right.
That's part of that idea.
Why can't we talk about stuff like that and learn from it?
Because everything's a headline, and everything's boiled down to, like, one simple thing, because they think everyone's really thick and can't handle stuff.
That's exactly it, yeah.
The New York Times described him, Lou, as inevitably suicidal with violence begetting violence. Do you think that's true? That if someone rhymes and raps about violence, they attract violence? Why can't I? Why can't you rap about violence without being shot? Surely it's possible.
I don't know, because I guess that's... I don't know.
I know it's not true. Sorry to interrupt, but Arnold Schwarzenegger makes violent movies all the time. Yeah. You know, Lock, Stock, and all those movies, they're all violent. So we know inherently it is not true.
Yeah.
In Big Popper, he bragged about spotting women that should be having his baby.
Oh. Well, not the one who sounds
great lie.
But what I don't understand is why these rappers can't sing about... like, why do they have to, like, a lot of them, not all of them, treat women like objects and reduce them to their pussy?
You'll need to pay, but I'll see where
It's
you
also
can get some
now a
things
vegan
involved.
anthem. He claimed that his friend Gutter, which is not the best name if you want to try to quit yourself of anything, but his friend Gutter kidnapped, raped and murdered kids, then threw them under the bridge. For context, there was a serial killer at the time just doing that. So Biggie thought, using his trademark humour, Athena, he would say his friend Gutter was the one doing it. Oh, they chuckled at the time, and it's still funny now. Is it all right to use language like that?
I don't have an issue with it myself. I mean, if you're having a laugh, obviously...
Is it irony? I think is what I'm asking. Is it, because Athena sort of saying there's a sort of irony there and a distance when he's talking about...
I think the only person that can be upset about that is Gutter, surely.
Where's Gutter in all this?
Gutter's livid.
Somebody wrote a book in which there was a villain who kidnapped chubby girls because he wanted their skin to make a skin suit. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like people write wild things for entertainment. I don't find it exceptional that this person was African American did it.
Okay, so now we do the thing that sometimes we have to do. We did it with John Lennon, where we have to just look at the genius and make sure it fully is up to scratch and there's no fraud going on. Because Biggie argued that he was just rapping about what he knew. But did he really grow up quite underprivileged? He made out he didn't actually come from the block. He was selling them. He made friends with it. He was sort of attracted to this like rough block round the corner. And the glamour of it. He was at a much better Catholic school around the corner. He had quite a good education actually. And a gifted kid, clearly, very bright. He rapped that Christmas passed him by, but it had a sort of accidental rhyme in the middle of it. He rapped that Christmas passed him by, but in an interview with The Guardian, his mother was quite annoyed about something. The letter said that Christmas never missed my son. As far as the line about the landlord insulting us, I never owed up. Up to this day, my credit is the best in the world. He's telling a story. She was also really pissed off that he implied that sardines knew they went hungry. When that child never went hungry. I mean, I don't want to be. I don't want to turn into Columbo, but one more question: how come the 23 stop? So, where do we sit now? Again, cards on the table here. I've definitely been guilty of making, for example, in order to try and get my hands on a comedy award, my dad sound much rougher than he is. To the point
You calling for some wheels? I'm Johnny on the spot. I'll hook you up.
Use that to try and tell a larger truth about him, if you know what I mean.
All entertainers do it, all like, exaggerate things for the purpose of what we're doing. That's an example of what he's doing.
But
I don't. I don't, but
these are really dark, sick jokes, but they're not an exaggeration.
Yeah, but that's not, like, if I talk about my family,
right.
It's real we've all got our memory.
Is it worse because he's sort of telling his whole mythology of him and the whole, when I hear his rhymes, the energy of his trying my hardest is all based on that guy came from nothing. He lived in one room, didn't live in one room, lived in a rather nice flat with his own bedroom.
It's a disappointment.
Had food on the table, never missed Christmas, went to quite a nice Catholic school around the corner. Yes, he chose to go around the corner to the rougher block and make friends with these other people.
Well, that puts it in context of why he was selling crack to a pregnant lady and stuff. I can tell you what, I've lost 10%.
Well, this is really common in rapping because rappers are very aware that if they portray a certain life and existence, they're going to get further than if they don't do it. So even back then that was the case. He's appropriated poverty, and Sean Combs famously did. Sean Combs is a very posh man. He was never working
He didn't even come from Brooklyn, he came from Harlem.
And he went to private school and things, so he was, they all knew that there's capital in portraying a stereotype of the African American.
I'll get back to it then.
It's what I said before. I find it really problematic because it's unhelpful, it's unprogressive, and it's not true. But the music is just.
What do we do with that? If I could tell you that the more I exaggerate my knuckle-dragging dad being a bouncer and burning people in the forest with a Range Rover, the funnier the show.
No, it's not. You're an intellectual.
Yeah, it is. I don't think you hide the fact that there are aspects of your personality that are completely at odds with people's expectations of ethics.
But my audience laugh knowing it's irony.
No, because we're all part of the problem then. So I think it's harder, but we have to dig down and tell the truth and say, because otherwise we're just doing the same thing that commissioners are telling us to do.
But Nathan, what do we do if the truth isn't as musical and I don't want to dance to the truth as much as
No,
the
you
fable?
have to work harder. You're assuming. If you go a lazy punchline like, oh, posh people eat hummus. No, they don't. Everyone eats hummus. Like, harder. And then something better. That top line, you go dig deeper.
Would you dance to? If I went back in time and took the transmission back to Big Popper and told him to use Juicy as your music, but do the harder, more truthful rap about your childhood, would we have our hands in the air dancing as much?
No, but exactly. That's what I was going to say. Like, would you go over here about Biggie selling crack on the block or Biggie doing Bible study at Catholic school?
Yeah, but the second one. No, guys, it's
not that it isn't binary. So, for example, he has a song called Crush on You with Lil Kim. It's a banger, okay? It's just about, I've got a crush on you. So you can write songs that are not about poverty. You can write songs that are not about being middle class. You know what I mean? What we're doing is say, should you capitalise on a myth? And by not doing that, it doesn't do the opposite. Talk about how my mum was.
You're through to your garage. You need me to bring you a ride?
At the time, like in the 90s, that's not going to sell records.
You had Tribe Called Quest, you had Jurassic 5, and then
Missy Elliott.
Yeah, Missy Elliott. Missy Elliott gangster rap, and they only rap in the 90s. So it's your mythology that he had to do that. But what isn't mythology? When he did it, it worked.
Rap battle is the only way we can decide this. One last little fact before I force you to vote. Lil' Kim eventually confirmed she had an affair with Biggie, and that a story regarding Smalls threatening her at gunpoint during a studio session did in fact occur. It happened, she said, very recently in 2018. She thought it was a myth before, but it did happen, she said, in an interview with Ebro in the morning. We did have a very...
I'll get there as soon as I can. Okay, I got stuff to do.
Nathan Tate, Notorious B.I.G., Evil or Genius?
Me, hands down, genius, man. I've been a fan of this guy for years. One of the best rappers ever to do it. Yeah, obviously, what you talked about, not everyone's cup of tea, but for me, genius, man. Yeah.
Slight problem with the format. Where Aviva said not everything's binary, I agree. The violence with women thing took me into Evil, but he has got marks of genius as well. But you know, I like some of R. Kelly's songs, but he's in the Evil for me as well. But
are you going Evil?
I'm going Evil, but you know, lovely songs.
Yeah. That gives you the casting vote.
He's always going to be a genius. I don't think you can take away the fact that he's one of the best rappers ever to do it. Beat selection, flow, you know, everything about the way he approached making music is exactly when hip-hop was invented, that's the end goal. When they were going and do Rapper's Delight and all this little basic stuff, they were intending that to sound like he made it sound, and no one's come close to him since. So, yeah, okay, misogyny, you know, appropriating poverty, that's all terrible, but my gosh, Ready to Die is one of the greatest albums of all time. Damn.
Every time I think speaks, I agree with her, so now I want to say
He's a genius, whichever way you vote, Notorious B.I.G. Genius. Voted here, Evil Genius. Fantastic panel. Thank you, Nathan Tate and Adina Kablenu and Lou Sanders. What an amazing show that was. We're all going to go off and listen to this music now and have an after party and a nice cup of tea with our two producers, Hillary and Hillary, both called Hillary, through the producers window there. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Nick. I'm not Nick Trummer, the other one. Both irritating. Who cares? Please hit subscribe, leave a review, and come back next time. Goodbye.
Hvordan er du sikret, hvis der sker ændringer i dit arbejdsliv? Hvis du ikke trives, eller hvis der kommer nedskæringer, og de rammer dig? I Krifa får du personlig hjælp, hvis noget går skidt. Vi har styr på dine rettigheder og sørger for dagpenge og lønsikring. For det handler om dig, din trivsel og din tryghed. Krifa. God arbejdslyst. This is the BBC.
This podcast is supported by advertising outside the UK. BBC Sounds Music Radio Podcast.
Warning, this episode contains strong language. Genius. Hello, I'm Russell Kahn, Cade, and this is BBC Radio 4's Evil Genius, the place where we take someone you've definitely heard of and then bend your mind to convenient facts. You feel like you don't know them at all. And it's not just about making people we love turn out to be bastards, although we do a lot of that. For example, may I direct you to our episode about family planning legend, Mary Stokes. She empowered women to take control of their own contraception and shape their destinies, right? Eugenic hate is also now a flavour of food, Durex. So yeah, we do a lot of that, but we also take people it's fashionable to dislike and shower them with glitter. Darth Vader, check that episode out. Turns out he was actually a brilliant dad. Spoiler alert. So let me fertilise a whole continent if we're not here to talk about Genghis Khan, or more correctly, Genghis Khan, or even more correctly, rapey violent nutter. He may, like my 2020 tour show, be long dead, but he has plenty of relatives still alive, about 16 million. Oh, I don't want to upset you. Anyway, we're here to decide, and the premise is simple. At the end of this discussion, with my three mirth peddlers here, we must decide, was he evil or genius? joined by some amazing guests today. Sarah Mills, award-winning producer, performer and activist. I'm begging you, stalk her on her Instagram at Sazzy Mills. Robin Morgan is in the house. Superb stand-up, bespattering your radios and tellies with his mirth. And don't forget to check out his Here to Judge podcast. And if it's not my old buddy Esther Manito flanking me vigorously to my right, please go and see her live. She's an awesome stand-up, and please check out her podcast, Ghastly Women. It's brilliant. So, before we crack on any further, I need to tell you about Genghis Khan. Of course, that's not really his name.